Well, hello, and welcome to the PJH Writing Command Center for another podcast episode from God Bless the Cake Publishing, LLC. And I am Paul John Househaven of God Bless the Cake Publishing, LLC, and I am the flagship author, chief photographer, music reviewer, music critic, do-everything guy here at God Bless the Cake Publishing, LLC, with a little help from my friends. And some of my friends are gathered here today, and I told them to buckle their seatbelts because this is going to be a Paulie rant. It's going to be before I get into the rant and some other business. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. Wait a minute. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's winter time, and it snows, and it gets cold. At any rate, here we are in the Writing Command Center. We're just having a great time warming up for this epic rant about overhyped weather media sensationalization. And this is going to be a classic, folks. So buckle your seatbelts at home. And as I mentioned, welcome to the Writing Command Center. If you are a first-time tuner-inner, then if that's even a word, welcome. If you're a subscriber, a follower, welcome back. And we're just thrilled you're here to join us. Going to be a little offbeat humor here, a little fun, but as my dear mom likes to say, hey, Paulie, there's a lot of truth in kidding. So before we get started, let's get our little Orphan Annie decoder pins out because it's time for a word from our sponsor. So let me rattle all these papers here for dramatic effect. And here we go. This podcast is proudly sponsored by Corporate Facilities Group Incorporated, the leader in technical consulting, facilities maintenance, facilities management, and operations, as well as property maintenance and management services throughout America. And now, CFG Incorporated is proud to announce a new department, a new initiative, headed up by the amazing Mr. Steve McMillan. Let's give it up for old Steve Aruski. And Steve brings as many years of experience as he manages pre-construction services and estimating for residential development, residential renovations, and light commercial projects for CFG Incorporated. So, before you spend big bucks on a project, let old Steve Aruski check out the contractor scope and price and make sure your hard-earned money is going in exactly the right place. Check CFG out on the web at www.corporatefacilitiesgroup1.com. That's www.corporatefacilitiesgroup1.com. Many thanks to Lydia Steve, Summer the doggy, and Smokey the kitty cat. And Liliana, can't forget Liliana at CFG Incorporated for sponsoring this podcast. Thank you so much. And shout out to beautiful Marietta, Georgia, headquarters for CFG Incorporated. Beautiful, beautiful place. They have a great square there in Marietta, Georgia. Beautiful gazebo. They put on concerts and plays and all kinds of stuff in the summertime in the nice weather. And it's lined with these most fantastic Georgia oaks. And you got the gazebo, you got this water fountain guy. It's beautiful. There's restaurants, there's shops. Irish pub there. I always seem to find the pubs. What do you make of that? And Marietta is just a beautiful place, so highly recommend visiting wonderful and beautiful Marietta, Georgia. And we have another announcement here. This one comes in from the beautiful Nutmeg State. Shout out to Newington, Connecticut, where my townhouse is, and neighboring West Hartford, Connecticut. And you talk about snow. It's been an old-time winter up there in Connecticut, so beautiful winter time, and it keeps snowing, and It's snowing there this afternoon. Just checked in there in Newington, and it's snowing quite heavily right now. So winter is what it is. It's winter. So this announcement, it comes in from West Hartford, Connecticut, from Playhouse on Park. Playhouse on Park. And it's April 3rd, 1968. And an exhausted Dr. King retires to his room at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis after delivering one of his most memorable speeches. This March, Playhouse on Park invites you into that room with The Mountaintop, the Olivier Award-winning play by Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright Katori Hall, directed by Jamil A.C. Mangan. What begins as a simple room service delivery from a mysterious young maid named Camille quickly becomes something much deeper. The two engage in humorous conversation that progresses into a soul-searching discussion about their mutual hopes and fears. When Camille reveals a secret, King is forced to confront his destiny and his legacy. Critics have called The Mountaintop audacious and inventive, and praised its theatricality and emotional power. It's a play that crackles with energy and stays with you long after the lights go down. The Mountaintop runs March the 4th through March 22nd, 2026 at Playhouse on Park, a nonprofit theater located at 244 Park Road in West Hartford, Connecticut. 244 Park Road in West Hartford, Connecticut. There are discounted $25 morning performances, group rates, and special savings for patrons under 40, senior citizens, and also military available. And hey, look at this. Subscribers save 20%. Fantastic stuff. Make it a day night. Woohoo! By visiting one of Playhouse on Park's many dining partners before or after the show. Show your ticket stub for a special dining discount. Tickets and full performance details are available online at playhouseonpark.org. Playhouseonpark.org. Or by calling the box office at area code 860-523-5900, extension 10. Area code 860-523-5900, extension 10. So, join us this March for The Mountaintop, only at Playhouse on Park, 244 Park Road, West Hartford, Connecticut. Seems like a fantastic performance. Oh my goodness gracious, Pulitzer Prize winning playwright. Wow, congratulations. We love this stuff. Thank you so much for sending that in. And if you have any special events, you're a not-for-profit, you have a charity, a special event going on, just send it in to Paulie at godblessthekegpublishing@gmail.com. And we will be happy to get it on the air for you here. And just keep in mind, this is a weekly podcast. Watch your schedules, watch your time, watch your dates, and send it in to Paulie at a strategic moment. Fantastic. Thank you so much. So to get into the meat and potatoes here, over sensationalization. And let's face it, the whole media thing has just changed over the last, 5 years, 8 years, whatever. It's just out of control now. So this past week, and the last 2 or 3 weeks here in Central Virginia, and to be honest with you, up and down the East Coast, and across the nation, has been crazy with winter weather. And crazy media folks, absolutely out of their minds, with crazy, wild predictions, clickbait, sensationalized ads on social media, on their websites, interrupting the football playoffs. It's out of control, folks. So, first, a little bit of a disclaimer here. Okay, so in my primary source of income for all these years, and I'm old, and I'm going to start the Grumpy Old Paulie series because we have the rated series, and it's very popular where I rate stuff. And I'm feeling grumpier and grumpier as this winter has gone on. So maybe this is the first of the Grumpy Old Paulie series. I don't know. But my goodness, this weather thing is out of control. So a disclaimer, I spent most of my career fighting snowstorms. taking care of properties, facility maintenance, facility management in places like upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Massachusetts, all the way down to Virginia, Maryland. Fought an ice storm in Atlanta, Georgia about 10 years ago. Epic ice storm. Northern New Jersey. I fought blizzards. I fought everything. And so maybe I'm a little numb being a professional snowplow driver, salters, sanders, fighting snow and snow removal and ice control for all these years in these places that have real winters. I mean, upstate New York is no joke. The lake effect. If the clouds come out of the west over the lakes and it's cold, it's going to snow, folks. Sometimes an inch, sometimes 2 inches, sometimes a foot. Who knows? That's winter. And it's a normal thing. So maybe I'm a little numb because of my years of doing this. But in all my years, I've never seen anything like this past winter season. From about, I don't know, mid-January to up till yesterday. Just up to yesterday. It was crazy. And these media folks, and I get it, everybody wants to make money. And they have these new social media sites, and they have these weather apps, and they have all this stuff. And you click on it, and there's 752 pop-ups and 952 banner ads. And it follows you wherever you go in the internet. And did you know, an IT guy told me this a few years ago. And he said, Paulie, everybody checks the weather. So the weather, I guess, weather sites, if you want to call it weather websites, be them whatever, are one of the most prolific sites with cookies that follow you wherever you go on the internet. And they intrude into your web browser like no other sites because people always want to check the weather. And it makes sense, right? So they can make a lot of money. But this sensationalization of normal weather events is out of control. And it seems like the more technology they have, the more whiz-bang European model. We have the American model. We got the XYZ model. We got the computer graphics. We got this model, and we're tracking this and we're tracking that. It's not even accurate. I remember growing up, I think it was Channel 4, NBC News, maybe? Yeah, I think it was. Dr. Frank Fields would come on, and he was Dr. Frank Fields. He was a meteorologist, handsome guy with glasses, middle-aged. He would get on like a day before a pending winter storm, and he'd say, hey, folks, we're watching a weather system. It has the potential for this and that and this and that. No, not nowadays. It starts 15 days before. Oh, we see this storm in the Gulf of Mexico, and the polar vortex is coming down, and it's drama, and it could potentially come to Virginia, and it's going to hit the East Coast, and blah, blah, blah. And they start beating the drum and sending ordinary citizens hiding under the kitchen table, trembling in fear over winter. It's just unbelievable, folks. So I'm going to tune up the rant because I've been tracking these ding-dongs. And I get it. They want you to click on the ads. And a lot of the ads and a lot of these posts on social media, you got to be careful because 2 or 3 of them actually put in the top corner, this is not a weather forecast. And they lure you in with this graphics and deep dark red and blues and whites. And it clearly says, in their defense, this is not a weather forecast. No, it is sensationalization to cause people to lose their minds over something that happens. So I wrote this piece last week. First of all, we had a storm here. I'm in Central Virginia. And snow removal, folks, is a science. There's a strategy to it. It's part physics, it's part observations, it's part not listening to the weather people and observing yourself what's going on your property. And people think you just get in a snowplow truck and you ride up and down and blah, 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 blah. Shout out to the great Dave, my buddy Dave in upstate New York, a true upstate mountain man who I plowed with for years and years and years. Years. The greatest snowplow driver I've ever worked with. Dave could stack snow like it would look like the Matterhorn. You would think that the truck is going to tilt backwards. Greatest snowplow driver I ever worked with. And we would plow this property early in the morning, upstate New York. It's snowing like crazy. And there is such a thing as snow thunder. I ran into snow thunder for the first time when I was plowing in upstate New York. And Dave and I were intuitive. We knew what each other would do. He'd plow one side, I'd plow another. We'd finally meet up with each other, look at each other, roll our window down, and say, hey, it's time for a cup of Joe. We go in the maintenance shop, get a cup of Joe. And I would listen to WFAN sports radio out of New York City. It would come in loud and clear there in upstate New York, Saratoga. I guess we were in Schenectady County. And it would come in clear on the winter nights while we're plowing. It's just a way of life up there. It's not the end of the world as we know it. But anyway, get back to the weather crazy sensationalization. So I wrote down key words that these folks use to scare the living bejesus out of people. I got to get the paper. Hang on. Let me rattle it for special effect. I mean, this stuff is unbelievable. So here they are. Some phrases and keywords. Bone-chilling temperatures with below zero wind chills. So let me rewind. So we had this storm and it was mismanaged and yeah, it froze and I looked out the window and the guy was saying it was the end of the world and I was like, it's too cold. It's very, very cold. It's not even sticking on the trees and wires. And the guy said, oh, the power outages, it's going to be just absolutely out of control and it's going to be, nobody's going to have power for weeks and weeks and weeks. And if the folks had the experience, it wouldn't have turned into the disaster it did. And it turned into a disaster because they just don't have the experience. And I still take care of properties and these landscapers are calling me and they're texting me and emailing. I was like, look, folks, it's going to change into a mix of freezing rain and sleet. Leave the snow on the property for as long as you can. And then that snow will protect the surfaces and then plow it off and treat it from there. But no, it turned into an absolute disaster here. So now that storm passed and now they're watching a nor'easter. And this is what started the frenzy. It's going to be the bomb cyclone. Anyway, here, howling gale force winds, 40 to 60 miles an hour, causing bomb cyclone conditions. What is a bomb cyclone? I mean, my gosh, can you be any more dramatic? Blinding, blowing snow conditions with dangerous drifting, potential for 1 foot to 2 feet of snow, up to 30 inches of snow. There'll be hazardous road conditions with the potential to leave stranded motorists over roadways throughout the area. So plant the seed of despair and devastation and stranded people on the weather forecast right away. I mean, you have a responsibility. If you take a microphone, and I take this seriously, you know, in all seriousness, put the Paulie humor on the side. I take this seriously because, you know, being a radio man, military circuits, ham radio, you get on the air and you have to adhere to certain rules and regulations. You just can't go on there doing what you want. You got a license. And the FCC regulates this stuff. There's a difference between an activist and a journalist. And that's a serious matter here in this country. I guess in other countries too. This media is out of control. I mean, hazardous road conditions with the potential, and they always put potential, to leave stranded motorists over roadways throughout the area. I mean, plant the seed of despair, of devastation. You're going to be stranded in this snow. Hazardous road conditions at road maintenance and snow removal crews will be overwhelmed and can struggle and not be able to clear. So once more, they're painting a picture of devastation. There'll be frozen pipes and extended power outages for 14 to 16 days. How can they tell 14 to 16 days? They can't even forecast the weather in a day. And they know that there's going to be frozen pipes for 14 to 16 days. The area will be crippled for weeks and weeks. It's unbelievable, folks. Schools and businesses will be closed for weeks due to the Arctic blast. They always use these devastating words and phrases. Polar vortex. There'll be plunging temperatures. And now they have the power outage prediction map. And they bring this graphic up on the screen predicting where the power will go out. And they send people into frenzies of fear. So we had these, and I took these keywords and phrases right from their predictions and I started writing them down. And so this nor'easter was coming up and it was going to be a bomb cyclone, whatever that is, a blizzard. And it didn't even meet the blizzard criteria. I looked it up. It's going to be the end of the world as we know it. And you know what happened here in central Virginia? I'm in the greater Richmond, Virginia area. This high, cold air came down from the Arctic and pushed it out to sea. We did not even get a snowflake here at the Writing Command Center. After all this, not a single snowflake fell. And I went to the food store, oblivious, because I go through and not pay attention to this until all this stuff happened and I wanted to do this podcast. And it was absolutely wiped out of everything. There was nothing there, folks. Gone. Bread. There was no fruit. There were no potatoes. There was no anything. No meat. I'm not a big meat eater, but I would have picked up some like chicken drumsticks or something. Nothing. No milk. Nothing. It looked like the store was looted, ransacked. And not a single snowflake came down. Nothing. Zip. And I get it that you blew the forecast and all these, whatever happened, the European model, the computer model, the USA model, whatever, and this cold air pushed it out to sea, whatever. But get on the air and be accountable that you're a ding-dong and you blew it. No, that doesn't stop. Now they're tracking a storm out in Arizona that has the potential. It's 15 days away. They don't stop. And it's irresponsible. And I thought to myself, okay, Paulie, maybe you're being a little insensitive here. You know, you are a snow warrior and you understand snow and you've done this, all these. No, I'm not. And I thought back to the old days when we didn't have all this social media and all this craziness. And hey, God bless the Keg Publishing is on social media. I do it because that's kind of like free advertising here, and they kind of force you to have your own page to do this. I'm not a big guy with it. I get some help from some friends to post stuff, and I believe it's a poison. It's not good for people's minds. Don't get your news off of there, folks, and definitely don't get your weather. I laughed because there was one weather guy who's on there, and he's blah, 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 and this guy's kind of posting and harassing him. And every time he posts this weather forecast that doesn't turn out, this other guy posts, the weather will be 0 to 150 inches. It'll be dark in the morning. It'll gradually get light, and then it'll be dark at night. That's my weather forecast. It's almost like the old hippy-dippy weatherman with George Carlin. But don't over-sensationalize stuff. Don't go crazy with this stuff 10 to 15 days before, and then you got egg on your face when nothing happens. Stop. Just stop all this craziness. So I thought back, to the olden days. And I get accused of living in the olden days, right? In nostalgia and thinking about stuff. And I'll bring up some music, right? In only rated series for classic rock and old rock and roll bands and old artists. And maybe that's true. I am old. But go back to the old man's famous saying, newer doesn't mean it's better. And they have all these computer calculations and these graphics, and we have all these meteorological satellites and weather analysis, and they're wrong. And they're always wrong. I mean, they didn't get any of these storms correct, but they scared people into a frenzy, and this is serious stuff. But nowadays, we have more radar, more all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, sensors, fancy cars. And I get that a lot of people can work from home now, but they drove people into wild frenzies. It's irresponsible. It's craziness. And I think back to the old man. I thought about snow tires because it was a ritual. About after Halloween, we had snow tires for the old 1964 Rambler, and he kept them downstairs in the basement in the back room. And he'd say to me one Saturday, early November, right after Halloween. This Saturday, we're going to change the regular tires to the snow tires. And Saturday, we would come, we'd jack up the Rambler, we'd take the old regular tires off, and we put on the snow tires. And they would narrow, deep tread snow tires. And they'd put the regular tires in the basement. And then after snow season, about April, right before Easter, he'd put the regular tires back. And I thought to myself, do they even make snow tires? Because they have studded snow tires too. And then if it was really bad and it was deep snow, the old man had a set of tire chains, strap chains, and he put them on and go to work. So I looked it up, and sure enough, snow tires are still made. And even in the testimonies of people, all-season radials do not do what snow tires do. And I know a lot of cars now are front-wheel drive and all that, and it's a different world. But we would have full chains on our snow plows that we could put on. We go through anything. We would go through anything. It could be 2 feet of snow. You'd go through anything, believe me. And the old man he just had an old 64 Rambler. He'd throw a toolbox in the trunk, 2 bags of sand, a snow shovel. He'd put his strap chains on. He'd get out of the driveway, and he'd go to work. And he lived about 10 miles from his work. Some of these roads, he'd be leaving at 5 a.m. They weren't plowed. Some of the city roads were plowed. And nothing stopped him. And if he got stuck, he would shovel himself out and get out of the snowdrift or whatever. He didn't ever miss a day of work due to snow. And that's the way it was in our neighborhood. One of the most famous incidents in our old neighborhood was the world-famous Harry. And he lived 2 city blocks away on John Street. And his old man used to go to the shop at like 4 a.m. Mr. Rogers never missed a day of work. When I went to his memorial service after he passed, what a great man. What a wonderful man. The priest actually called the guy up that was the owner of the shop, and he told a famous story of how he tried to beat Harry's old man into the shop. Every morning he would come in 5 o'clock in the morning, and Harry's old man would be there. He said, "Oh, okay, I'm going to come in at 4:30. He came in at 4:30, and Harry's old man was in the shop. So he set his alarm. He came in at 4 a.m, and Harry's old man was there. Beat him. He finally gave up. These are a throwback. This is how it was. You didn't miss work because of a snowstorm. And it was a famous incident. We got about 2 feet of snow, and Harry was on John Street. And Harry's old man woke him up. And he had Harry's father had, I think, a big Chevrolet, a big giant Chevy sedan. And he put the snow tires on, he had the strap chains. But it's 2 feet of snow on John Street. But the main road, Belmont Avenue, is plowed. It's all good. He wakes Harry up, and Harry is a big strapping guy, and makes him shovel the snow on John Street, about 150 yards in front of Mr. Rogers' car to get to the main drag. And at one point, Harry says his old man's beeping the horn that he's not shoveling fast enough. And he got to the main road and went to work. And he worked. That was Haledon Borough. He worked all the way in West Caldwell, New Jersey. And he made it. I mean, this is a way of life. So last week I wrote a little piece. I'm working on the winter collection, and I called this piece Sometimes in Winter. And it's like a little prose, a little poetry, a little prose piece. And I started it. Sometimes in winter, it gets cold and it snows. And that about sums it up. It's not the end of the world. It's normal winter weather. It gets cold and sometimes it snows. And I get it that a lot of folks work from home and they don't want to risk it. And everybody has a different tolerance for driving in this. But I'm here to assure you that you're not going to freeze. You're not going to run out of water. Where does the water thing come from? They wipe out the water. I don't understand that. Now, if you're on a well and you're in the country and you lose power, then you can't pump your well. But why are people buying water? The pumping stations in big cities have some of the biggest generators known to mankind to push these pumps. These pumps are huge. I don't understand where all this stuff comes from. And here's one of the greatest. I read this. You can't make this stuff up, folks. I read this article where this chap, he suggested that because salt is difficult for the environment, and salt does not work when it gets to really cold temperatures. You got to switch to man-made chemicals, and they're expensive and they're messy. And I've had a number of situations. I remember one time in New Hampshire, it was hopeless. We had a snowstorm, then we had a thaw, and I was taking care of a ski resort. And it turned into ice heaven. And we just threw sand and grit over the top of the ice. I couldn't shut it down. It was beautiful ski weather. And they're making money hand over fist with skiers. And people made it to the ski resort. Anyway, I read this article. And this brings back a memory, too, growing up in Patterson. In the old city, walking to school, back then people had coal furnaces, old coal fire furnaces, and they would take the ashes from the coal when it was hopelessly cold and you had that embedded ice that was just like concrete, and they just throw ashes over the top of the ice and you could ride your bicycle over it. And of course, coal is gone for the most part, but at any rate, this chap suggests that they throw bird seed. I am not making this up, folks. Instead of salt, because it's bad for I'm sorry, I got to pause this. I'm going to come back. Oh my, I'm sorry. Bird seed over the ice for traction. And I guess that's a great idea. I love birds. I feed the crows here. I got my pet, Joe the crow, comes around every day for his peanuts when I'm home. And the birds would love that. And I guess it would give you traction. But here's the problem. When I read that article, I went and looked up on the big, the big shopping sites and everything. So a bag of ordinary rock salt, 50 pounds, plain old salt, is going to cost you about $5.50, $5.95. A bag of 50 pounds of birdseed is about $20. It's gonna cost you a fortune, and the birds are gonna love it. Maybe the bird poop will give you traction too. But I mean, are you kidding? Are you kidding me? You're gonna throw. So Joe, who works his tail off for money, is going to choose a bag of $20 worth of bird seed to get traction on his sidewalk and his road. You can't make this stuff up, folks. Where do people come up with this stuff? It's winter. It's not devastation. We've got to stop this over-sensationalization. Don't pay attention to this stuff, folks. You're going to be okay. I got out of 40 inches of snow one time in the White Mountains in New Hampshire. It was no problem. I had a tunnel out of my house. And I have one of my favorite stories. So this one comes back from a property I took care of up in Rockland County, New York. And it was a call center. It was a 24/7 operation, critical call center for, I think it was an airline. And these are, critical calls. So they had snow. And this is New York State, lower New York State, and they get a lot of snow. And I don't know, it was about 20 inches of snow we were cleaned off. And I noticed, I was talking to my buddy, and I was like, nobody's coming in. Everybody's, the roads were bad. They weren't that bad. But at any rate, so I hear from one of the maintenance guys, the big boss. He looks out on his call center floor and he's like, oh my gosh, where is everybody? The phones are ringing off the hook. Our percentages are down. The command center is complaining. They don't have enough operators, don't have enough people. They might have to transfer to the overseas call centers and everything. And this big boss guy this is the most brilliant thing I ever heard. And he grabs a pad and a pencil and he grabs his assistant. And he says, we're going to go out on the floor here. So I don't know, maybe they have 200 operators on the call center on the floor. I don't know, just making that up. And maybe 50 of them came in. I don't know. And he walks around and he goes up to the first guy and he says, hey, Joe, appreciate you made it in today. I know there's bad weather. Where do you live? He says, oh, I live over in Goshen in Orange County. Goshen, and you made it all the way here. And he turns to his assistant and he says, $100 bonus for Joe for coming in today. And back then, $100 was a lot of pop, you know? And he goes to the next guy. And he goes up to Harry. He says, Harry, where do you live? Oh, I live in Poughkeepsie. You made it all the way from Poughkeepsie. $100 bonus for Harry. And then he goes to Marianne. The same thing over and over. And he goes through the whole call center floor. And he gives all these people these bonuses. Then he goes back to his office. So that spread like wildfire. This guy is a genius. The next snowstorm comes, I don't know, maybe 10 inches or so. That call center floor was full of people. It wasn't an empty seat in the house. And the big boss never came out. And he proved the point. There's a difference between wanting to go to work and I can't go to work. And those days, when they heard about those bonuses, suddenly they want to go to work. But we've got to stop all this. It's wintertime, and I know everybody has different tolerance, but this over-sensationalization. Guy kept interrupting the football games the other day, and they have the local guy here, and he's got this beautiful garden with a garden shed behind the TV station. He calls it the weather garden. And he's out there real dramatic, and he's waving around, and he's got a tape measure in his hand, and he says to the camera operator, zoom in here, you got to take a look at this. And he puts the ruler down in the snow, and he points out, he says, look, it's 1.5 inches here on the ground here in the weather garden. It's unbelievable, folks. You can't make this stuff up. I tell you, anyway, you can unbuckle your seatbelts now. I'm just about done with this rant. I can't take it anymore. I just hope that this spring is right around the corner, because winter here with these snow rookies is getting a little stressful. Yes! Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, gosh. But thank you. Thank you for tuning in today and tolerating this Paulie rant on overhyped weather sensationalization. And it's just unbelievable, folks. And before I check out of here, I had mentioned music and old throwbacks. And my last podcast where I answered a lot of questions, one of the questions was, if I sent you in some artists, would you check it out, Paulie, and put it on the rated series? And I had 2 hits this week that came in. And oh my goodness gracious. The first is an artist, Brandy Carlisle. And I listened to that music, and the gal has a wonderful voice, fantastic voice, very, very nice songwriting, fantastic melodies. But oh my goodness gracious, can we sing more notes in a verse and make my powerful voice go up and down 100 octaves, and timbre and drama and emotion and crying? And I couldn't take it. Not going to rate that music. Great talent, great voice, very depressing. It's just overly dramatic, too much up and down, timbre. Let's just make my voice vibrate 100 times on a simple verse, over singing. The other was an artist, Bon Iver. I have no idea what that artist is doing. I just have no idea. I can't classify it. Is it ethereal? Is it like Enya in a male vocalist? I have no idea. Half of the lyrics I couldn't even understand. It's like mumbling, and it has no melody. I don't even know what it's about. It's like nothing I can describe. I couldn't, honestly, thank you so much for sending those artists, but I couldn't listen to more than 2 songs by either of them without turning it off. No, I'm sorry. I can't get into that music. Can't rate it. Thank you for... I'm sorry. So this is the Grumpy Old Man podcast, but I mean, the gal has a beautiful voice, but it's too much for me. It's like the Celine Dion thing going on, the Mariah Carey thing going on. I can't take it. And the other guy, I don't even know what it's about. I couldn't understand anything. So anyway, hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy from Paterson, New Jersey that fought a lot of snowstorms and probably hit his head too many times. Hey, please be kind, except this has got a disclaimer. When you're talking about crazy weather stuff, And the New York Jets. Hey, please be kind, be gentle, be very tolerant, except for crazy weather people in the New York Jets. Remember, kindness is for free. Spread it around as much as you can. It can only make this world a better place. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to have another fantastic rated series coming up. It's not going to be about music. It's going to be the 5 most useless gadgets that Paulie has ever used in his life. And we're going to have a blast with that. So thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. You guys can unbuckle your seatbelts and leave now. And hey, we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.